These days, we're so spoiled with modern cameras that sometimes we forget just how far we've come. And sometimes I ask myself, how much better are the brand new cameras over the old ones? Kind of want to find out. Without a doubt, there are going to be some very obvious benefits of shooting with a newer camera. But if you're someone who just is trying to get into their first camera, they might not be worth the expensive price tag. Now, I don't want this to be a direct comparison or a checklist or this camera wins in this area. I just want to show you that if you are on a budget and you're literally getting your first camera, that spending $5,000 on a camera body alone may not be the best option, and getting something much cheaper may actually be more beneficial and still very powerful. Now, the two cameras that are going to be going head to head are the R5 and the 6D Mark II. Is the R5 the newest camera? No, I know that. And obviously they're not direct comparison in the lineage of Canon cameras, but I think this will do a really good job. And this is the lens we're going to be using, the 50mm, oh come on, untrack my face, the 50mm 1.4. Is it the most clinically sharp lens? No, but I think it'll be a good option because you can literally get this lens for a couple $100. So, without saying anything else, let's take some pictures. Now, the first and most obvious thing that anyone is going to notice going from an older camera to a newer camera, especially a mirrorless camera going to a mirrored camera, which is the older one, is going to be the user experience. And before we really dive in, one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is because throughout my career, I feel like this camera, especially this combo, this lens and camera combo, has taken some of the best images I've ever taken. And sometimes I feel like I can't quite get that quality or the images I'm looking for out of my R5. Now, if you've never used a mirrorless camera before, this is gonna be familiar to you. The EVF, sorry, it's not an EVF. The viewfinder in the older cameras is reflected through the mirror. That's why it's a mirrored camera. What you see through here is getting reflected back to you. It's not the digital image. You're not seeing exposure changes and all of that. That is probably one of the biggest differences from a new camera to an old camera, is you can see everything you're doing through the viewfinder now. Now, I'm not gonna do, oh man, I barely remember how to use this camera. I'm not gonna do anything crazy. I'm literally just gonna sit here and get some snapshots. Hang on, I'm really overexposed. So with this, I'll try to get some iPhone footage of what the viewfinder actually looks like. But there's a light meter in there. And you're basing your exposure off that light meter. And usually you'll take a photo and then you'll look. Okay, oh, it's really out of focus. You'll look and be like, that's overexposed, so I need to make an adjustment. So my aperture is too high. And that's one of the nice things too about the newer cameras also, is exposure and shutter speed can be faster too, so that you can get better exposure with a wide open aperture. Now this is going to be a really good photo to test in post because it's so contrasty, because I want to also show you the difference in the raw files. Let's get another one. I really like this tree. That shutter sound never gets old. That's what I wish the newer, oh see, I went to look at the exposure, but I was like, nothing was there. That's what I wish the newer cameras had, was a little bit better of a shutter sound, but that's just me. I forgot how different this display looks. Okay, let's get some photos of the R5. Now, another thing that you're probably gonna notice is the button layout. Obviously, as cameras get newer and newer and people get more experience with them, the button layout's gonna change. And really, the thing I like about these new cameras is this joystick right here. I don't know how many brands have adopted it or how many of even Canon's cameras have that joystick, but it is so nice. And another thing too is focus point control. With the 6D, you have to press this button, then use the D-pad to find it. There's a lot of different ways you can do it, but my favorite way is when you're looking through the EVF, you can touch the screen and you can move it around really accurately. Now, I don't have to make any exposure changes because I literally can see my exposure. Now, obviously, the display for the R5 is very, very nice. I'm shooting them all the same aperture, just so you know. So those two images are gonna be very interesting to see. Now, one thing too to keep in mind is all of these comfort features, I'll call them, like the EVF and the quick focus pulling and all that stuff, it adds speed to your workflow. And speed can be very important depending on the type of photography you're doing. Now, I just want to get a couple more photos around here. Area's kind of similar, so it's going to be more green trees, but I want to get a couple more images, and then we're going to go back to the office and do some post work. And like I kind of mentioned before, my goal with these photos is to get some photos with some good light, get ones with high contrast, not great light, and see what we can do with the raw files later on. Because that's pretty important, at least to me, is what you can do with the raw files after. Let's see, is there a pretty photo here? That's kind of nice. Camera on would be probably helpful. Also, if you do get one of the new R-mount cameras, or any camera, get old lenses. Man, it is like, it's such a budget hack, and the glass is so good. Okay, I think that's enough images. We're gonna go back to the office, and oh, a aphid. Oh, I missed. It's gone. And we're gonna edit these, and we're gonna see the capabilities of new raw files versus old raw files. Okay, now we're back here. I'm not gonna edit them side by side at the same time. I'm gonna edit one set, and I'm gonna edit the other set as if I just went out to take photos by myself. And then after that, we're gonna compare the final images and see how different they are. But I am gonna talk through the process as I'm editing them because I wanna see how playful each raw file is. Now, because I'm very curious, I wanted to start off with a 60 Mark II. Near and dear to my heart. I love that camera, and that is the only reason I haven't sold it, but never gets used, so. Now I'm gonna start off with one of my presets, slap that on. If you guys want to pick up any of my digital products, the link will be down in the description. Now, well, kind of with one click, that's pretty nice. So honestly, that is pretty much real to life as I saw it when I was there. All right, this is kind of the same thing, just vertical, and it's super easy to work with these raw files. They hold so much information even after pulling those shadows back. Now, let's do this one before I jump into, I did some exposure tests. One that's overexposed to see how much I can fix it, and then one that's underexposed to see how much I can fix it. Honestly, I really like that feel. I'm gonna go and fix the vignetting we have here. Pull it down slightly. Now, as you can see, this is where the lens comes into play, because it's not the highest quality lens, especially at rendering details at a distance. But anyway, I actually like that photo. All right, let's play with some exposure tests. So as you can see over here, that's pretty overexposed. Drop a preset on there, pull her down. And honestly, I'm actually surprised. I think maybe we've lost a little bit of something here. I think we're losing this. Maybe not. I think we are a little bit here. We've lost some detail though. But not horrible. And for some reason when you underexpose photos, they tend to saturate themselves even more. So I'm gonna just drop the saturation a little bit. But you can see the tree's looking a little weird. Maybe I'll bring down the shadows and make it look a little more natural. But yeah, you can see right in here, we've lost a lot of detail. And I was 2 stops overexposed, I believe. I did the same for the R5. Now underexposed, I know this camera performs pretty well underexposed. Oh, sorry, I was saying that with the last photo because it was underexposed, oversaturated. Flip that around, overexposed, oversaturated. And honestly, you can see, obviously, in the overexposed photo where we lost detail. Let's see if I can pull this back to make it look a little bit more similar in the tree. But yeah, you can see the difference. Okay, let's move on to the R5. All right, right off the bat, without even doing a side-by-side comparison, you can see how different it is. And before I add my preset, I just want to see Yeah, you can see we still are retaining some detail. I thought maybe I overexposed it a little bit. That's one thing that I knew for a fact was different from the two cameras is the R5 does hold a lot more information. Like you can see, if this photo was on the 6D, most likely we'd be losing some information, but if you pull it down, you can actually see we retain a lot of it. Okay, slap a preset on there, boom. Is there an overall quality difference? Maybe a little bit, but only when you zoom in. And it is 40 megapixels. And when you put a really nice lens on the R5, yeah, it's awesome. Preset, exposure change, very nice. I like the color of this tree. Got a little bit of chromatic aberration in this one. Didn't really see anything in that in the last one, maybe it's just the way the light catches. And because, that's one thing to think about too, is when you're adapting the old EF lenses to the RF mount, you got about that much gap away from the sensor. Does that affect things? I don't know, I'm not a scientist. I think it does, but you can do your own research. Didn't even see that. Okay, same thing. Bring my sky to a nice point, brings up slightly. Yeah, kind of the same thing. I do think it's actually out of focus still, but whatever, you get the idea. Okay, underexposed tree photo. Maybe not quite as underexposed as I should have gone. Looks like we could be losing some detail, but let's see. Nope, still got some detail. Now the tree, it does handle the harshness of contrast better, the R5 over the R6. Like you can kind of see our tree is better exposed, and then the sky is also nicer exposed, better exposed, more properly exposed, whatever. And it's because that R5 does have more dynamic range, but that can change from camera to camera. But yeah, it does handle the difference better. Now this one's gonna be interesting because the R5 also, from my experience, it doesn't handle overexposure well. And you can see right here, it actually did the exact same thing. It literally looks identical. Maybe it doesn't it doesn't spread quite as high up the image, but it does, yeah, you can see we've completely lost all this information in the photos. So that's one thing to keep in mind, but both cameras handle that very, very well. I'm actually pretty pleased that the R5 had the same problems as the 6D Mark II. I hope that me kind of talking through my way through these two cameras kind of maybe gave you a little bit of an insight if you are looking to buy your first camera and you don't know if you want to spend the extra money, or you just want to start with something to even see if you like photography, to be like, you know what, this is good enough. And honestly, based off these images, it is good enough. Like, I'd be totally fine recommending however old the 6D Mark II is now at this point to a beginner, because I think even that camera will take them a very, very long way. Well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.